You're watching the ACC on ESPN. One of the great venues in the ACC, the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill. Notre Dame is the visitor. North Carolina 11-0 at home. The 22nd ranked Tar Heels and the Fighting Irish on a Wednesday night from North Carolina. Kevin Brown, Corey Alexander. This UNC team for 14 games looked like one of the best defensive teams in the country. The last four, they've looked like one of the worst. They need to get back on track.
KB, I left here on December 30th after watching North Carolina play against Florida State. I walked away thinking this is one of the best defensive teams in the country. Ever since then, it's been all downhill for the Carolina defense.
They look to get back to winning ways at home where they are undefeated. They've got Caleb Wilson. That's a good place to start.
Absolutely a great place to start. Caleb Wilson is on assault of every record book for the freshman at the University of North Carolina with a storybook group of freshmen along the way. He has the chance to be the best, has done it here. Jalen Harrelson has his freshman year as well, one of the better freshmen in the ACC. Attacking the rim, has the ability to stretch from beyond the three-point arc, and is now taken over at the point guard position for an injured Marcus Burton, learning on the fly as the guy leading the Fighting Irish.
Tar Heels 1-3 in their last four. You look at the first 14 games. You mentioned their defensive strength. 36% opposing field goal, 54 against in the last four, 54% against from three as well. Notre Dame struggling as well. The Irish have lost four straight, so two teams trying to get reconnected with winning ways here in the Dean Dome. Carson Tout and Notre Dame win the tip. Bert Smith, Clarence Armstrong, and Don Daly, our first-class officiating crew. Jalen Harrelson and the Irish with the ball on this Wednesday night. There's Braden Shrewsbury for a Notre Dame team that gives Brady Kaler his first career start, Cole Serta his fourth. Both teams with changes to their starting lineups we'll get to momentarily. Notre Dame is deep in the shot clock here with Serta and the timer at 2. And that shot is denied decisively by a flying Seth Trimble with 0.6 of a second to shoot.
And a statement by Seth Trimble, the leader of the Tar Heels, the senior, coming across, blocking the shot, throwing it out of bounds, only 0.6 remaining on the shot clock, but nothing better for the Tar Heels for their first defensive possession.
So Notre Dame trying to avoid a shot clock violation, gets it into Carson Tout, who draws the iron, and Harrelson has the rebound.
And again, that was what you don't want. Carolina saw a lot of that against Cal the first few possessions of the game, where Cal was able to get out to a 7-0 start against the Tar Heels.
Harrelson rims it out. A rebound to Jaden Young, making his first start in Carolina blue. Tar Heels have three usual starters: Wilson, Henry Vensar, and Seth Trimble. Derek Dixon makes his second start in a row, the freshman point guard. And the Virginia Tech transfer Young is in the game to start. He sets up Trimble for three.
But that's really what Derek Dixon has provided. Knocked down 4 threes in his first start against Cal last time out, and now knocks down the first one on the offensive possession for the Tar Heels.
It is the freshman Derek Dixon out of Vienna, Virginia. Notre Dame starting five: Harrelson, Shrewsbury, and Tout. The regulars Serta and Kaler make this a new starting lineup for Micah Shrewsbury, and Kaler's miss is grabbed by Wilson. The first rebound of what will be many. And Wilson's not going to get a chance of the rebound here as Trimble finishes through traffic. Dixon and Trimble in the backcourt with the opening buckets for Carolina.
And the count is now 1. One thing we'll look at today: how many times does Seth Trimble end up in the crowd? It normally happens multiple times throughout a game.
What's your over-under to start?
I'm going with 4 today.
All right, over-under 4, we'll see. Harrelson misses it. Just one more thing for our statistician extraordinaire, Freddie Kiger, to keep track of. Vensar sets up Trimble. No good for 3. Wilson goes over the top and is called for the game's first foul.
Caleb Wilson is tremendous at starting the action on offense. He's the best rebounder in the ACC, but he has the ability to push the basketball well. The advanced pass against Seth Trimble out in transition. Trimble able to finish and ends up in the crowd for the first time of many here this evening.
Now, if you end up in just the front row of the photographers, does that count, or does he have to actually contact a fan?
Well, considering there are more people and more than one person there, it would be considered a crowd. So therefore,
camera crew part of the crowd.
Okay. Yes.
Knocked away from Kaler into the crowd with 11 to shoot. Notre Dame pretty good three-point shooting team. They've struggled in this 4-game losing streak. Very poor from the line, and they really struggle with turnovers. Micah Shrewsbury in his 3rd year in South Bend, looking for his first win at Notre Dame against a ranked team. Here's Harrelson. Irish started 0 for 5, all from inside the arc. Harrelson in the paint, bumps, and scores it off the window into the body of the freshman Dixon.
That's the advantage of having a 6'7" point guard. Even though Derek Dixon has great positional size, Harrelson even taller and stronger in the paint.
Here's Henry Vessar down to Wilson, foul on a ferocious dunk try.
Yeah, scary fall for Caleb Wilson after that one, but how often do you see the big pick and roll action as Wilson is unable to hold on to the rim, fortunately able to get his feet away from falling back behind him. But I love the action from Hubert Davis going with the big screen and roll, and normally you don't see the 5-man as the ball handler in the big screen and roll.
Hubert Davis in year 5 as the Carolina head coach will watch his freshman standout Wilson. 70% free throw shooter, misses the first. This is a weakness for Carolina. They get to the line a lot, but they are one of the poorest shooting free throw teams in the nation. 67% is 3rd worst in the ACC. As Wilson goes 0 for 2, but the ball is tipped out to Dixon. Carolina team 4th in the ACC field goal shooting. They get a corner 3, and good from the first-time starter, Jaden Young.
But when you put Jaden Young on the floor alongside Dixon, that gives Seth Trimble a number of driving lanes. Trimble, even though stumbling, still able to deliver the assist to the corner.
Young, who started 10 at Virginia Tech a year ago. Serta is bumped, and Cole Serta will go to the line. Derek Dixon picks up the foul.
Seth Trimble wants to attack the basket. And when you have shooting on the perimeter, it opens up driving lanes. If you help, it opens up opportunities for Jaden Young, for Derek Dixon, who have both knocked down threes in this game.
We asked Hubert Davis before the game about Jaden Young. He said, first of all, he's from Goldsboro, and Goldsboro kids are tough. And then he said, I didn't give him playing time. He took it. He was out of the rotation. He missed a couple of games early this year just because of a coach's decision, Young. And at just 2.3 points per game, he has wrestled away a starting spot for North Carolina.
Young has played well. He was a guy that really was a silver lining in the 2 losses in California. Gave the Tar Heels good minutes, and more importantly, minutes at a crucial time throughout the game. Hubert Davis was trusting him to end games, even though he may not have played much in the first half. He's absolutely earned, as you mentioned, the right to be on the floor and now in the starting lineup for the first time this season for Tar Heels.
Irish bring 6'11" sophomore Garrett Sundra off the bench to replace Tout. They're certainly undersized tonight and should be the rest of the year. Lost big man Kebajai to a knee injury for the season. There's a 3 for Wilson. It's only his 5th of his freshman year.
And that's his first in ACC action, so it was 0 for 3 coming into the game from beyond the arc. But Caleb Wilson has that capability. But look at what he's doing now defensively, getting much lower into his stance, even though there was a miscommunication on a switch, allowing Serta to knock down the 3.
Notre Dame's marksman at 39% from deep, and Serta has been hot. 11-7 the Tar Heel lead. Carolina 4 for 5 from the field as Wilson thinks about another 3. Dixon will take it. That's off the mark and rebounded by Sundra. Irish have hit their last 2. Those 2 free throws off an 0 for 5 start. Shrewsbury makes it 3 in a row. The best 3-point percentage in the ACC, Braden Shrewsbury with a much-needed early triple.
But I love that 3 by Braden Shrewsbury because he didn't rely on anyone else to create an opportunity for him. Just took matters into his own hands off the bounce with the individual 3.
He has been struggling big time in ACC play as Trimble is fouled on the drive. Good offensive action early. 6 straight points for the Irish. Heels lead by 1. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. 40 years and 3 days ago today, the first game at the Smith Center. What a game it was. 16-0 Duke, 17-0 North Carolina. The Tar Heels 95-92 winners. This building, which just celebrated its 500th win a week ago. Jeff Lebo played in that game, was a Carolina freshman, scored 11. And look who was in the crowd.
How about that?
Scott.
Royalty checking out the first game in the Dean Dome. Hard to imagine that was 40 years ago. You weren't born, but I was actually watching that game. And of course, Freddie was in the building for that one, but I can remember all the hype and the hoopla, deservedly so, surrounding opening this building. Jeff Lebo, a McDonald's All-American in his freshman year, coming in and playing in the building. Of course, Hubert Davis, who averaged 21 points per game his senior year, wearing Carolina blue.
It's amazing to look at the rosters for that game. Brad Daugherty, Kenny Smith, Johnny Dawkins, R.J. Billis, Tommy Amaker for Duke, and go on and on and on. Incredible names in the history of this great rivalry.
That was also the class that saved Coach Kemp. So again, that's the class that played the first game in this building, but it was the Tar Heels walking away with the win down the stretch.
This jumper by Tout, offensive rebound, and even though it was Garrett Sumner with the offensive rebound, Harrelson couldn't finish. Notre Dame got some great looks. The 6-0 Notre Dame run was snapped as Luka Bogavic's first shot of the game is buried from three.
But Caleb Wilson is getting a master class of how to handle post traps. He's getting trapped pretty much every possession he catches the basketball on the block and knew exactly where to deliver the pass to pick up an assist.
Irish with Tout, Serta, Sundra, Harrelson, and Shrewsbury. Remember, they're without Marcus Burton, their leading scorer. Harrelson's jumper ripped down by Henry Vessar back in the game for North Carolina, the 7-foot star. About as good a big-to-big combo as you'll see in the game. And there's one of them, Wilson, who rims out another try from three. Shrewsbury, son of Micah Shrewsbury, who said we might try to play Braden and Cole Serta a little more together. Two great three-point shooters. Braden gets a clean look but misses there. Wilson couldn't grab the low pass from Dixon out of bounds, and a Carolina turnover there first. Tomorrow, ESPN and the ESPN app. Fantastic women's basketball game. Joyce Edwards in second-ranked South Carolina traveled to Norman. They got Reagan Beers in the 16th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central over on ESPN.
Tessa Johnson playing against Aaliyah Chavez and Reagan Beers. I've had worked with those three young ladies at the Nike Academy this summer. So I will definitely be tuned in, checking that one out. Of course, you know Big Sis is coaching Ron Staley.
Give me your scouting report on the three you work with.
Well, Aaliyah Chavez will shoot it from anywhere. Tessa Johnson, one of the best shooters in the game. And Reagan gets the job done on the block. Anytime she catches it, she's absolutely correct to score.
7:30 tomorrow, South Carolina, Oklahoma. As Notre Dame turns it over, Sir Muhammad on the floor along with Logan Imes for the first time. 15-10 the North Carolina lead. Brought in Jonathan Powell, Jaron Stevenson, and Kyan Evans off the bench. Vessar, one starter on the floor, finds an open Powell. Vessar's got the rebound. Bogavic's no good from three. And the Irish 0 for their last 5 with the ball. Muhammad played very well the last 2 games. Started at Virginia Tech. Off the bench today. His miss cleaned up by Tout.
Micah Shrewsbury feels like Muhammad gives them a threat to attack the paint. So that's one of the reasons why he's been in double figures in the last 2 games. Great job defensively by Jaron Stevenson. Not only to block the shot, but to keep it in bounds.
And it leads to an open three. Evans buries it. Turnover, not a turnover, but a block leading to an open triple. And Evans is the 5th Tar Heel with a made 3 tonight.
But that's one of those 5-point swings that Hubert Davis talked about. We're not going in their favor on the West Coast Strip. This time at home, they're turning it into an advantage.
Tout into Vessar. Big man, the nation's leading active rebounder, not a huge scorer, and ran into big trouble. And a 5-second violation, which you basically never see. Or did he get a timeout in first is the question. Either way, Carolina's got the lead up 8.
And Jaren Stevenson doing the job defensively, keeping it in bounds, and it turns into a 3 on the other end for Kai and Evans.
North Carolina has been hot. 5 different players, Corey, with a 3 in the early going.
And it was the first possession. Derek Dixon able to knock one down. Then Seth Trimble finding Jaden Young in the corner. Caleb Wilson even getting involved in the action. Kai and Evans able to knock down the last of the 5, allowing the Tar Heels to push it out to an 18-10 lead.
UNC has 6 players with exactly 3 points. Luka Bogovats among them. Odd game so far. The Tar Heels have taken 1 shot from 2 and made it. Notre Dame has taken 12 shots from 2 and made just 1.
And you're considering a team that normally plays through their bigs, as Garrett Saunders able to knock down the 3 on the exterior. And he's a guy that Michael Shrewsbury and his staff wants to see be more aggressive on the offensive end. Also defensively, want to see him foul somebody.
Here's a 2-point try. Jaren Stevenson missed it right at the rim.
Another nice pass. Big to big action.
Muhammad goes behind the back and off the window. Off the Stevenson rebound. Here's Evans. Moved to the bench for the last 2 games in favor of the freshman Dixon. They run the offense through Vessar. And Vessar muscles on the rim and gets fouled. Hartson Tout pleads his case to no avail, and the Notre Dame starting 5 picks up his 2nd foul.
But to your point earlier regarding the free throw shooting, Vessar shooting 56.3% in ACC play from the free throw stripe. It's been a struggle for the Tar Heels. And this one, when you talk to their staff, they're used to having big guys that you throw the basketball to, you play through them on the interior, and they're used to getting fouled. But they go to the free throw stripe and take care of business, normally at about a 70 to 75% clip. Now you've got 3 straight misses from that front court. Caleb Wilson missing 2, and Vessar missing his first of the evening.
Tout is out of the game. Matt McClellan, graduate transfer from NAIA Madonna, is on the floor. As Vessar hits the second, Heels are just 2 for 6 today. So Notre Dame already undermanned on the front line. Their 6'10 senior Kevin Jai done for the year with a knee injury he announced yesterday. And McClellan had a lot of minutes at Virginia Tech and may have to again tonight.
Cole Serta passed up an opportunity. He came off with a DHO clean, but wasn't looking at the basket where he's been shooting lights out from 3.
Logan Imes gets an open foul line jumper. Junior from Zionsville, who had started the previous 5. Makes it 19-15.
But this is what Michael Shrewsbury wants to see. He wants to see Logan Imes picking up the basketball. He feels like he could be a menace defensively and put more pressure on the ball handler.
Evans, step back 3. Off the side of the rim and tap to Serta. Great 3-point shooter, runs the break for Notre Dame. Halfway through the first half, Notre Dame shooting just 5 for 18. So much better start for North Carolina after these 4 disastrous defensive games. Muhammad from Imes. That 3 is no good. And grabbed by Vessar. Evans. Nobody guarded Powell. He makes him pay.
And a great read by Evans. But you've got to give credit to Jaren Stevenson, who running the floor occupies the defense and allows Evans to find Powell in the corner for 3.
That's 6 made 3s, 6 players with a triple for North Carolina. And Henry Vessar, who's 24 for 49 from 3, isn't one of them.
Well, they had a game earlier in the year where they had 8 different players make a 3. So it could be a possibility of seeing that here this evening as everyone's getting involved. But watch Jaren Stevenson occupy the defense. You have to get over and tag. And as you tag to make sure Stevenson doesn't get the layup, it opens up Powell on the outside. Evans delivering a strike.
Well, North Carolina had a game last week at Stanford. They scored 90, even though they had a season-low 7 assists on 32 field goals. And they wanted to see a little bit more ball movement, even with the high scoring. Tonight, 6 assists on 7 makes. And only 1 turnover, which probably even better for Hubert Davis to see.
But if you think of the Carolina, their 3 losses on the road in ACC action, they're averaging 92 points per game, shooting 51% from the field, and making 9 threes a game in those 3 losses. So those averages are above their season averages. Yeah. So it hasn't been the offense that's the problem. It's been what they've done defensively.
Here's a 3 for Vessar, left it short. And McClellan the rebound for Notre Dame. What is Carolina doing better defensively than we've seen the last couple of weeks?
Well, it's this, trying to keep the basketball out of the painted area, but more importantly, they're putting up much more resistance. They have been broken down at the point of attack offensively, and guys have been able to get into the painted area.
Vessar off the slip, can't finish. Wilson can. And Micah Shrewsbury will take his second time out of the half. Caleb Wilson, the first Tar Heel with multiple field goals. The lead, multiple points. Huge Saturday of college hoops. This is where it really starts getting fun this season. College football's over. It's going to be one big college basketball Saturday after another. North Carolina's at Virginia at 2 Eastern. Houston and Texas Tech. The game day crew will be in Lubbock, and then Tennessee and Bama follow that. 10 straight hours of college hoops Saturday, ESPN and the Tar Heel Score. You hoping to head to UVA off a win. Here's the last bucket for Caleb Wilson.
And Caleb Wilson attacking the glass. Henry Vessar missing a chippy for him, who is second in the ACC, shooting 64% from the field. That's when he normally finishes up, but Caleb Wilson, not assuming anything, goes in and gets the putback slam.
Notre Dame just 5 for 21 at the other end. Strong drive by Brady Kaler. He can't connect, and Jaron Stevenson's got the rebound for the Tar Heels. North Carolina, 6 different players with a 3. Wilson leads the way with just 5. An incredibly balanced start. Knocked away by Kaler, who dives to the floor and was out of bounds. But that is the kind of effort and toughness Notre Dame's getting from this 6'10 freshman.
And Micah Shrewsbury called Brady Kaler skinny tough earlier today. Young man who is not lacking confidence at all, and I can truly appreciate that. Kaler coming off a career high 17 points in their last game at Virginia Tech.
He's got a little edge to his game, Micah Shrewsbury thinks, at a Cathedral High School, which is Micah's alma mater, Indiana kid, and rewarded with his first career start. Young into the shot clock. And Stevenson ended up yanking Harrelson to the ground there. And Stevenson is hit with a North Carolina foul, his first.
Jaron Stevenson getting quality minutes right now. I don't know if he's even been out of the game since he came in as a substitution for Vessar early. But Hubert Davis trusts Jaron Stevenson on the defensive end to guard perimeter players, also guarding big, making him very valuable to this Tar Heel line.
Shrewsbury fakes a 3 against Wilson. Inside, and that was scored against Stevenson. A really strong cut by Harrelson, and the freshman just 2 for 8 has his second bucket. Trimble and Dixon along with Young, the guards for Carolina. 4 starters, and Stevenson in for Vessar as UNC turns it over for only the second time.
Young stepping on the sideline, trying to set up the screen and roll action, that retreat step. But it's Hubert Davis doesn't ever want to see them turn the basketball over, but if you're going to turn it over, make sure it's a dead ball turnover in comparison to the pick 6 which they gave up on the West Coast.
A lot of switches here for Wilson. Shrewsbury finds Kaler, who missed the dunk but got fouled. Notre Dame just kept switching and switching on the perimeter, and got a good look from Kaler, who will shoot 2.
And no one there to truly pick up. Kaler attacking the basket. Trimble gets over at the last minute, but he's late. And reading the pick and roll coverage, that's one where if you're Seth Trimble, you have to be early, already pretty much the middle of the lane, so that that pass isn't available. Force him to skip it all the way to the outside.
Brady Kaler, continuing with the theme of the game, misses a free throw. Vessar replaces Stevenson. We saw a lot of defensive breakdowns on the West Coast for North Carolina. Where in their communication are you seeing these struggles for UNC the last couple of weeks?
Well, one we just saw earlier in the game, a miscommunication on a switch where Colserta was able to knock down a three at the top of the key. But we asked Hubert Davis at shoot-around earlier today, was there one particular thing? He said the problem is it's everything. They have been lacking in every different area defensively, starting with guys being able to crack the paint at will, not being able to keep guards out of the painted area.
Wilson gets his own miss. Wilson back up short, and there's a whistle in there. And a foul. So Caleb Wilson will go to the line in a game that has been largely foul-free so far. Just the fourth against Notre Dame. It was Ryder Frost, 6'7" freshman. Caleb missed his first 2 free throws tonight. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist in the game. And he gets the first to go. Next Saturday, an ACC Network men's basketball quadruple header. That's 1 week from this Saturday, 10 days away. North Carolina is at Georgia Tech, following Pitt and Clemson. On the ACC Network and on the ESPN app. Georgia Tech team that won last Saturday at NC State. Then NC State turned around and won yesterday at Clemson, handing the Tigers their first league loss. Been a topsy-turvy couple of days here in the ACC. 9-point lead for UNC, which has not trailed. Harrelson weaving through, draws the contact and the foul.
But there's another example of where North Carolina has struggled defensively. It's simply just a one-on-one matchup where Jalen Harrison's able to beat Jaden Young off the bounce, able to finish, and there's no resistance there from either of the bigs because they have to respect the shooting on the interior. Forgive me, on the exterior. So therefore, Harrison's able to get to the rim, finish, and an opportunity for a three-point play.
Micah Shrewsbury mentioned he wants to have his son Braden Shrewsbury and Colserta in the game together, the 2 shooters. Is that the kind of possession that shows why that works?
That's exactly why it works, and that's the reason why he started Braden Shrewsbury and Colserta together in this game, is to create those driving lanes. So therefore, you have to make a decision. Are you going to help, or are you going to allow Braden Shrewsbury and Colserta, who both are shooting the basketball extremely well this season, to have those wide open looks from 3?
Harrelson just picked up his first foul. Under 6 to play in this first half. Up ball slipped through. Vesar tracks it down, sets up Bogovac. UNC's got a little cold from 3 here. They haven't hit from the field in about 3 minutes.
But that's often the problem when you start out making threes, as Frost is able to knock down another one for Notre Dame, as they shot the basketball very well from beyond the arc to start this game.
Irish are 4 for 7 from deep. Bogovac into contact. It wouldn't go. A hard-earned trip to the line coming for the junior from Montenegro. It's the second foul on Harrelson, who picked up a foul on each of the last 2 possessions. Notre Dame the last 2 games, or North Carolina the last 2 games. Defensive struggles for sure. Also, they've left a ton of points out there at the line. Bogovac, 75% shooter, hits the first. Super true trip for Luka Bogovac. Very young Notre Dame lineup here, and foul away from the ball.
They're going to get Seth Trimble pushing Braden Shrewsbury into the screen. 2 hands in the back.
Trimble second, and that puts Notre Dame to the edge of the bonus. 16 fouls against UNC. Shrewsbury and Cert on the floor together again as Imes runs to the controls, slips it back to Kaler. Off the fake, Kaler denied by a recovering Vesar. Vessar into Wilson. Quick double team comes. Wilson works around it and gets fouled by Ryder Frost.
Underrated aspect of Vessar's game, his ability to block shots. Not only can he get the job done on the offensive end, but defensively as well. Even though he's beat with his length, able to recover and deny that opportunity. Caleb Wilson actually orchestrated that last offensive possession, ran the floor, got post position, but wasn't open to the original passer on the perimeter. Pointed to Vessar to make sure that his teammate knew to get the ball to his big man. His big man would be able to deliver the basketball inside, which results in a foul.
Special combination. Wilson and Vessar averaging 37 points, 20 rebounds collectively a game. Also got a lane violation against Shrewsbury, so Wilson will reshoot a second free throw.
When you look at the numbers of this front court, when you consider Caleb Wilson and Henry Vessar, strong case you can make for this being the best front court in the country. But it's not just about the scoring and the rebounding, where both guys are averaging over 17 and 9, which would be the first duo in the history of this storied program to be able to do that.
Another open three off a little pick and roll. Kaler misses it. Rebound down to Dixon for North Carolina. Vessar's calling for it in the paint. Couldn't get the initial entry. Now Wilson wants it from Trimble. Facing up the freshman Frost. Out of the double team. Extra pass Dixon. Good for three.
All created by Caleb Wilson, drawing the double team and making the right pass out, which leads to the hockey assist.
The second three for Dixon. He's the first Carolina player of the 6 with a made three to hit a second three. Shrewsbury finds a cutter. It's a driving Serta for a rare 2.
And Trimble with 2 fouls couldn't do much about that. Was unable to show much resistance.
Wilson, no resistance to him.
When the double team was there, he just went the opposite direction.
He had no interest. Spun around Kaler. Wilson in the double figures with 11. He scored 11 or more in every game of his college career. Serta. A handoff for Shrewsbury. Bogavats behind him. Shrewsbury, Kaler passes up a corner 3, dribbles into traffic, and then gets fouled. Luka Bogavats with his first. Free throws coming for Notre Dame, but Carolina's up 10.
Caleb Wilson, who has found the right guy in the trap most of the time. This time he beats the trap, able to go to the reverse layup.
Sean and Zubin here in the studio. There are 33 games happening right now in major college basketball as we speak. I counted, including Kentucky coming off their Miracle Week on the SEC network, but it's an SEC team not named Kentucky making huge waves today off the court. That's at the half. What have we seen in the first half?
Oh, look, I think we've seen a mixed bag defensively for North Carolina. It's the only thing I've been focused on throughout the first half of this game, coming off that trip out west. They've done a good job defending inside the three-point line. Notre Dame just currently 5 of 20 inside the three-point line. I think that's a good sign for North Carolina. But CA, I got a question for you. We do comps every NBA combine. Caleb Wilson, tell the people the rules and let me know.
Sean, see, I knew you would go there. And again, you know, we have these conversations off air. But let me say this. Caleb Wilson, I compare to Caleb Wilson. He's one of one. He's the first that we've seen. There are a number of guys that we can talk about he has traits similar to. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm not going to compare him to anybody. I'll wait till we get to the combine in May, and we can talk about those comps then.
I can't believe if that's stunning cowardice or stunning bravery from you to say, you know what, I reject the comparison game. Well, or you're just afraid to throw out a really good name and have Caleb Wilson.
No. It is because,
I don't know.
It is
because the pie down the middle.
It is because Sean Farnham, Seth Greenberg, Kevin Connors and I
heard of him, yeah.
Right. We have this thing where, and I will say this, Farnham does a great job with his comps. Okay. I had to make rules for Seth. The top 100, again, you know, of course, the NBA 75, they're off limits. Off limits. And what the guys that Caleb Wilson reminds me of, he's in that NBA 75, which means he's off limits. I'm not going to put a comp out there for him.
I would like people to give comps to like really good ninth men in the NBA.
But that's that's what most guys are going to be saying.
Yeah.
And so I agree with what you're saying. If you're going to do a comp, you can't be disrespectful and compare someone to some of the greatest players that have ever played the game.
I think we should just comp NBA 75 guys throughout the rest of this.
That's
half.
Greenberg style.
Ryder Frost looking like a young George Gervin with the three.
The second three for Ryder Frost, and now North Carolina starting to, give up those opportunities that hurt them so much on their West Coast trip.
There's Vessar in from Wilson.
Wilson is unbelievable at handling the pressure, and again, he's getting trapped pretty much every time he catches the basketball on the block. Hubert Davis knows that. That's why they play through him to open up opportunities for his teammates on the perimeter. But no one guy is going to be able to guard Caleb man-to-man down there.
Wilson. A little late to get that three. Ryder Frost missed it. You'd say Caleb Wilson has really the passing ability of a young Caleb Wilson. Here's Shrewsbury. Open three. Shrewsbury missed it. Wilson's there to high point the rebound. He's got 12, 4, and 2 assists. Vessar runs the floor and couldn't finish it right at the rim.
These are shots that Vessar normally takes advantage of. We talked about his shooting close to 65% from the field. And this is a young man who has made 24 threes on the season coming in. So not everything is around the rim.
There's another three. That one's good from Garrett Sundra. The open threes are starting to pile up here for Notre Dame.
That's how Notre Dame's staying in it. Now they're shooting 50% from beyond the arc, which has been the benchmark for Carolina opponents over the last 4 games.
Vessar goes into Sundra, who just scored, back for Bogavants. Their miscommunication there. Vessar was able to handle it. Closing in on 5 to shoot. Dixon off balance, somehow got the bounce to go.
Soft touch by Dixon, just getting it on the rim, allowing the basketball to do the rest.
8 points for the freshman on a season high 14 last game. Imes too easy into the paint. Rebound deflected to Wilson. Full steam ahead. Caleb Wilson takes on the Irish. All 5 of them, and scores it.
But that's what makes him so dangerous. We know he's an elite rebounder. Has a chance to be the best freshman rebounder in North Carolina history. But the ability to take it 94 feet and make a play for himself or his teammate makes him elite.
Shrewsbury in the dying moments of the half. Muhammad try to drive on Wilson. Top 2 is good for Sir Muhammad. Last shot of the half for North Carolina if they can get it. Powell, 3. No. And that heave won't count by Imes. Notre Dame good from 3, but shut down from 2. And the Tar Heels lead by now with a better defensive first 20 minutes.
Well, the Tar Heels getting the job done offensively, and that has really spurred them to this first half lead. 9 points, but Notre Dame being comfortable along the 3-point line. Something that North Carolina is going to have to take into account in the second half.
So 42-33 our first half score. North Carolina trying to get to 12-0 at home. Send you to the studio. Zubin Mehenti and a young Julius Erving, Sean Farnham. Welcome back to the Dean Smith Center. North Carolina ranked 22nd in the country, is 11-0 at home. And the Tar Heels lead Notre Dame by 9 after 20 minutes. One Notre Dame fan shoved in the middle of all that Carolina blue. Doing his best, Bob Weir, rest in peace, the King Bob Weir with the beard. He's seen the Irish shoot well from 3, Corey Alexander.
He's seen the Tar Heels continuing to make mistakes on the defensive end, a lack of communication on the switch, and then no communication getting back in transition defensively, allowing wide open threes. But the difference has been Caleb Wilson has started to insert himself on the offensive end, as he always does, attacking the basket, beating the trap, also finding his teammates, making the right passes in the right plays out of double teams has allowed the Tar Heels to get a number of great looks at the rim.
On the one side, you saw Caleb Wilson involved in a couple of miscommunications defensively. On the other, 14 points, also 5 rebounds, 2 assists for the fabulous freshman. Notre Dame 6 for 12 from 3, 6 for 22 from 2. North Carolina, the 4th best 2-point field goal defense in the country, has been elite inside the paint and had 6 different players with a 3.
You know, why'd you call out my boy on the defensive breakdown? Are you certain that there was not supposed to be a switch, or the switch was called on
I said he was involved.
You
in.
didn't say Derek Dixon.
Well, we were doing Caleb Wilson highlights. Had we done Derek Dixon highlights, Corey,
Derek Dixon was involved in the miscommunication.
He was involved too. Henry Vessar is involved in this basket. And UNC leads by 11. In all sincerity, Carolina defense in the first half. What do you make of the first 20 minutes?
Honestly, I think it was pretty much the same defense that they saw on the West Coast. The difference is they're at home. And because they've been great, they're 4th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage defense. So they've been great guarding the paint. The problem has been they haven't guarded 3-point line well. Notre Dame 50% from beyond the arc in the first half. And more importantly, as we talked about off air, those threes are wide open. Those are defensive breakdowns that Hubert Davis, I'm sure, hopes they clean up here in the second half.
And you mentioned Dixon. Dixon and Wilson, 2 freshmen, have been involved in a lot of the action for Notre Dame, led by Jalen Harrelson with 7. Garrett Sundra Frost had 6, and Harrelson, full Mark Sanchez, just ran into the back of his own teammate, Carson Tout. Just the 2nd turnover of the game for Notre Dame. There were only 4 combined in the first half.
But that's another product of North Carolina's defense not really being that aggressive in this game. Notre Dame comes into this game averaging 16 turnovers a game in ACC action. Only 1 in the first half.
There's the first 3 for Vessar, who had just 3 points in the first half and has the first 2 buckets here in the second. He's the 7th Tar Heel with a made 3.
And Vessar letting out a scream after knocking down that 3 was 1 of 6 versus Cal in their last time out. So, and they got it shooting 49% from 3 still.
Serta, no good on a tough contested 3. Rebound to Brady Kaler, who didn't score in that first half, and Tout got undercut by Young. That's the 3rd foul on Jaden Young.
Vessar steps in, knocks down the 3 ball, and then look at the exclamation after. Excited to see the 3 ball go down after he struggled to shoot the basketball the last time out versus Cal.
Double figures in every game this year. He's got 8 tonight. And he'll guard the inbounder Harrelson. That's a tough pass. Tout will get to it. Carolina's front court, as folks might have imagined, dominating the game. And Vessar continues it, blocked the shot, and then flipped it right off of Harrelson. It's North Carolina ball, and Vessar fired up again.
Smart play by Vessar, unable to save the basketball after the block, but recognizes that Harrelson is out of bounds. And what I really appreciate about that, he didn't fire it at Harrelson because he knew it was going to be a turnover anyway. He didn't have to throw it extremely hard. All he had to do was touch the body.
Just a soft little plop like he was playing Plinko. Now he sets up a 3 for Dixon, the freshman, with his 3rd. Timeout, Notre Dame. UNC threatening to run away with it.
But once again, playing inside out, going on the interior to Wilson, who makes the right pass, the hockey assist, and Dixon knocking down the 3. Henry Vessar, who only had 3 points in the first half, has started to assert himself in the second, going off the bounce and then knocking down the 3 ball with the excitement, but more importantly, doing the job defensively, coming up with the block shot, and then the intelligent play to throw it off of Harrelson out of bounds, as Vessar is off to a perfect start here in the second half and really leading this Tar Heel team emotionally.
Arizona transfer, redshirt junior from Tallinn, Estonia, who has had an amazing first year in Chapel Hill. 17-9 and a block per game, shooting 64% from the field. For pretty much everybody else in the ACC, he'd be the best big man on the team. For here, he's part of maybe the best 1-2 front court combo in the country with Caleb Wilson. And as Young just picked up his 4th foul against Shrewsbury, so an early second half exit coming for Jaden Young. But Henry Vessar is a kid who only scored 2.5 points per game as a freshman in Arizona. Dislocated his elbow in a golf cart incident, missed his 2nd year. Last year, 9.5 points, 5 rebounds off the game. And he was the kind of big North Carolina was really lacking last year. To pair him with Caleb Wilson has been enormous for Hubert Davis.
It really has. It's taken a lot of the pressure off of Caleb Wilson, even though he's getting double teamed every time he touches the basketball on the block. Having Vessar at the top of the key, especially with his shooting ability, changes things. And Vessar has done a great job of diving in the short roll, catching, passing out to his teammates as well. So those two guys have really opened up a lot of opportunities for their teammates. But for North Carolina to be successful moving forward, they're going to have to get more production from their guards.
Trimble, one of those guards, just picked up his third. So Young out of the game with 4. Bogovac replaced him. Trimble stays in with 3. Tout over Vessar, and Henry grabs his 9th rebound. Dixon, Wilson, too hot to handle at first. Vessar grabbed it, spun and scored. And after a 3-point first half, he's a rebound away from a double-double in almost 2 minutes and 40 seconds. He has scored or assisted on all 10 points in this second half as Carolina gets hit with another foul.
Well, Caleb Wilson, once he catches the basketball, isn't certain as to whether or not Vessar is going to stay on the perimeter. He's throwing the pass for the 3-point shot. Vessar is diving. However, great hands by Vessar as he's able to corral it, spin, and then get the layup off the glass.
Tough inbound here. Tout outmuscles Dixon. I know we think of Caleb Wilson, we in the larger basketball world do too, as a likely top 5 pick in the NBA. Henry Vessar, where is he as a pro?
Mid-first round. I do believe he's. The decision for him to come to North Carolina has really changed his draft status. His ability to shoot the basketball as Tout is able to come up with the second chance points. But Vessar's ability to shoot the basketball from 3 has really opened the eyes of many at the NBA level as he looks to knock one out, but he doesn't let that one go. Now, the way he's been playing in the second half, he can't pass up those opportunities.
Well, he's going to get 2 free throws either way. Vessar continues to imprint every aspect of the game as Shrewsbury fouled him his first. And Mikey Shrewsbury's team has looked overmatched in the second half after trailing by 9 at halftime.
Well, if you consider the wide open looks that Notre Dame was able to get from 3 in the first half, where they went 6 of 12, North Carolina has really cleaned that up in the first 3.5 minutes of action here in the second half, which has allowed them to really stretch this lead out to 17. Henry Vessar's ability defensively has really helped as well as much as what he's done on the offensive end.
Sundra and Imes replace Serta and Tout. Vessar, 2 for 4 at the line. Will take a seat for Stevenson. Vessar returns to a hero's welcome.
Coach Davis going with the full tie, suit, everything today. Oftentimes we'll see him wear the sports coat, some slacks, and maybe a button-up shirt, but going with the tie for the 40th anniversary.
I love it. Sensationally dressed Hubert Davis. There's great respect for the 40 years of history of this building. Wilson cleaned it up. Harrelson, second chance opportunity. And that is Notre Dame's second chance bucket of the game. Into Wilson.
Too late. So the problem is when the pass comes from the top of the key, you can't double. It's normally when the pass is coming from the wing, it gives you an opportunity to get there with the double, but the pass being that easy, no pressure on the basketball, allows Caleb Wilson to go to work as soon as he gets the ball in his hands.
Harrelson. Message from Notre Dame's coaching staff was we versus the ball. Defend the paint as a unit. Powell misses a 3. They're holding up pretty well in the paint for a while. UNC was good from 3. They've started to dominate the paint as the game's gone on. This may end up in the paint. A little too long for Wilson, who was out of bounds.
Caleb now taking the Seth Trimble role of going into the camera crew.
I think he's now surpassed Trimble for the camera crew contact lead today.
I tell you what, he surpassed everyone from highlights. His ability to spin and finish is unlike any other.
NBA Rivals Week rolls on this Saturday with an ABC triple header. Knicks and the Sixers, Warriors, Timberwolves, and then Ernie, Kenny, Charles, Shaq, and the Inside Crew are back to get you ready for the Lakers and the Mavericks at 8:30 Eastern. All the coverage starts at 2:30 Eastern with a countdown crew. Last year's #1 pick, Cooper Flagg, will be in that Lakers-Mavs game. One of these five, Corey Alexander, be the #1 pick this year. What do you think?
Well, I don't agree with this order. However, I do believe that this could very well be the 5 guys drafted with those first 5 picks. I think there are other guys that may jump into the mix as well.
Who's your #1 in that pick?
I'm going with A.J. DeBonce at 1. It's a toss-up right now between Caleb Wilson and Cameron Boozer at 2. I think that A.J. and Caleb have all the tools necessary to become superstars at the NBA level. I think Boozer will be a 15-year pro, or probably 15-time All-Star. I think he has the highest floor, but I believe the ceiling for A.J. and Caleb is a bit higher.
Right, Stevenson just got fouled right across with his third. But the name who was the #1 coming into the season there is Darren Peterson of Kansas. Now he's dealt with all kinds of injuries, lower body, leg issues. Peterson, he is back. He's had trouble finishing games for Kansas, but starting to see what he and Kansas can do. They knocked off Iowa State last week, and the Jayhawks are one of the hotter teams in the country.
And I think Darren, similar to Boozer, I think he'll be a great pro. I think he'll be a perennial all-star. I just think that with Caleb and with A.J., you have the chance to have a franchise-changing, possibly generational talent. And a lot of it starts with their athleticism. But you consider that Peterson as well as Boozer are somewhat finished products. I think the ability for A.J. and Caleb to get better and increase their talent level is going to even skyrocket once they get to the NBA level. And you're talking about 2 elite talents right now in college.
Morgan Ives with a bucket for Notre Dame. Caleb Wilson on the bench right now as his Tar Heels lead by 18. Stevenson, Evans, got it. They need some shooting from Kyan Evans. He's obliged tonight after going 3 for 15 in his last 4. He's 2 for 3 from 3.
I believe Evans has taken a little bit of the pressure off of himself. No longer in the starting lineup. I think he's a little more relaxed once he gets on the floor and is able to knock down shots, really, which is his calling card coming to UNC.
Muhammad scores over him. Sir Muhammad with his second bucket, the sophomore from a little ways down the road in Charlotte.
Sir Muhammad with the positional size, able to take advantage of smaller guards. And Stevenson is able to knock down the 3. And this is what Jaron Stevenson did in high school, of course, reclassed up to go to Alabama. He was a scorer, more of a shooter at the prep ranks. Has been much more of a defender in his college time, but this is something he can add as a dimension to the offensive end.
Well, North Carolina has just tied the UNC record. 8 players with a made 3 in the game, which they did against East Carolina earlier this year. Stevenson with the Heels 11-3 today.
But there's part of it has to do with the fact that Notre Dame is so concerned about the size of North Carolina, what Bessar has done, what Caleb Wilson has done in the painted area in this game, just giving away opportunities for everyone on the perimeter. That time Stevenson able to take advantage of it.
Free throws for Cole Serta, who was fouled by Evans.
Now in that game against East Carolina, one of the players that did hit a 3 was Elijah Davis. And so there's a chance that we will get some guys in the game that have not played minutes yet. Now with Carolina leading by 20, where they could possibly break that school record with someone else knocking down a 3.
Well, 2 players who've been on the floor have been hit 3 so far. Zayden High, who's only hit 1, and then Seth Trimble, 30% three-point shooter.
Well, Seth Trimble also didn't hit 1 in that game.
I don't think he attempted one. That game.
He wasn't
Still fractured left forearm in that game. He's been back for the last 8 games now. McClellan with a foul for Notre Dame. Heels by 20 with 13 to go. Nice drive by Powell, the West Virginia transfer, with a tough finish.
And Powell does the majority of his damage from beyond the arc, with showing off his ability to attack the rim as well.
63 of his 79 attempts from 3 into the game. Serta wouldn't go. Rebound, Bogovac. Bogovac. Evans. Got another.
The reality behind it is if North Carolina shoots the basketball this way, there's nothing you can do because you know you're going to get the production on the interior with Vessar and Wilson. So if you allow them to get clean looks from three and they're making them to this level, they become unguardable.
Off the miss by Tout. Here they go again. Bogovac with acres of space. Put back Vessar and a foul. It's like they're playing 8-on-5. It's a double-double for Vessar. He can add one more point at the line.
But a soft touch by Vessar who makes the extra pass. It's the right play. And then crashing the board. Difficult for Logan Imes at 6'4" to try to keep the 7-footer off the glass. And Vessar intelligently does not bring the ball down, just taps it in as Caleb Wilson continues to go into his celebration mode on the sideline. He's had a different celebration for each and every one of his teammates that's made a play.
You ever see Mission Impossible Fallout, the 6th Mission Impossible?
I'm sure I did. They all start to run together at this point, but yes, I'm sure I saw it.
There's a moment where they had the bathroom fight. And Henry Cavill kind of cocks the arms as he's going to punch somebody. That looked like Caleb Wilson, like he was loading up the flex there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Caleb Wilson going full Henry Cavill.
You took a long way to get to that story, my friend.
But anytime I can reference Mission Impossible Fallout, one of the great action movies ever, I'm going to take that opportunity. And let's all forget about Mission Impossible, the Final Reckoning from last year. About 2 hours too long. 70-45. Bogovac again open. Again misses. Boy, they are getting one clean look after another. Harrelson trying to bully his way in the paint, gets fouled by Powell. 1-and-1 coming up. The Tar Heels have been the big bullies in the second half.
One of the things you have to love about Caleb Wilson is the way that he celebrates the success of his teammates. As he's watching, he has a celebration for each one.
Sean and Zubin in the studio on the SEC Network. Ho-hum, another tight game for Kentucky.
Yeah, but at least they weren't down by 17 in this one, so I think that's a plus side. So is the fact that they have a lead right now. 1-point
game again in Lexington. Coming up, Novak Djokovic has won in Melbourne 10 times. He wins this fortnight. It'll be Grand Slam Major 25. First ball of the Australian Open is up here on ESPN2 in just under an hour. Guys.
Yes, sleepless January coming for all you tennis fans as we get going down under, the first major of the tennis season.
Speaking of down under, we had a conversation with Hubert Davis earlier today, whose daughter is studying abroad down under.
Yes.
And he was telling us how she has now turned him on to house music. Doesn't really know what it is, but he likes it. So therefore he uses it during his walk, which is part of his pregame routine, walking around the Smith Center prior to their shoot around.
He told us that his playlist can include, as Tout, by the way, was fouled by Vessar. And Tout, who likes to use the glass, gets his own miss. And Harrelson gets his miss. And, well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. 4 shots, whether the line or the field. Finally a bucket. He said it's R&B, hip-hop, country, classical, and house music.
And now house. House is new to the mix.
Trimble got dispossessed. Here's Harrelson on the run. In the corner. Serta, great shooter. And that's tipped out to Trimble. Powell, Trimble. And Trimble finishes and nearly ends up in the crowd. He's only been there once.
Great 2-on-1. The ball does not touch the floor. As soon as Powell catches it, he drops it right back to Trimble. He's able to finish in stride.
Serta. Vessar entangled with Tout. And the foul's going to go against Carson Tout, his 3rd for Notre Dame. Trimble grimacing a little bit after the bucket.
And Hubert Davis checking to make sure his senior is okay. Look at the beautiful fast break. Trimble was able to go with the reverse layup. He's fine. He's missed too much time this year. I don't think he would be able to take him out of the game if he tried.
Fractured left forearm in a team workout in November. Wilson, Vessar. How did that work?
It goes off the glass first. Vessar tries to still dunk it through, but even the failed attempt becomes a made field goal.
Caleb Wilson gets an assist off the backboard. His fourth. Uh-oh, he strips. Here comes the Thunder. And then Caleb ended up in the crowd.
Yeah, he didn't stick the landing.
Inbound pass away.
Caleb Wilson tossing it up to Vessar, but it hits the backboard first. Still able to go, and then Wilson out on the break with the nice finish, but unable to stick the landing. And now he has taken the lead over Seth Trimble in landing in the cameras in this game.
2-1, I think.
It is 2-1 in Caleb's favor. He leads the team in every other stat, it seems to be, so may as well take that one over as well.
Points, rebounds, steals, blocks, minutes, starts, free throw attempts.
And leads the country in dunks.
59 of them now. Kick three from Tout. Harrelson way too long. Offensive rebound, Kaler. Shot clock never reset. Imes knows it. Imes misses it. Tip to Tout. Notre Dame's just missing shots, grabbing the ball, missing shots, grabbing the ball. Almost like Carolina's not there, except they're leading by 29. Hubert Davis, look at the stat sheet and see his team is holding the Irish to 32% from the field, and maybe even better, 32% from three. Notre Dame is 0 for 7 from three in the second half.
Now, Freddie Kiger over with us on this side. Oftentimes is over right by Hubert Davis during games. The next game where I'm here and Freddie's on that side, I'm going to need a stat of how many times Hubert takes his glasses off and on during the game. It's constant. And when he gets upset, he takes them off. He doesn't slam them down, but he places them firmly on the table.
You gotta be careful. You don't want to slam down your glasses. You rip off the suit coat, that's one thing.
Very true.
Vessar three. And that's last touch by Kaler. Trying to argue it was touched by Wilson. It wasn't that close.
I mean, you got to give it a chance.
Yeah, why not? What do you have to lose? He didn't look over to his bench and call for a challenge, so he knew he was just playing games. Glasses firmly affixed to Hubert Davis. This is the type of win Carolina desperately needed. Tough times for the Heels, 2 and 3 in the league.
You calling it with 8:15 remaining?
I feel pretty confident.
Okay, it's a lot of time left in this game.
Look, if not, Notre Dame can make the highlight reel, and they can lead the highlight reel with that. Nobody believed in us, and I'll accept my fate. Trimble misses. Irish trying to get, should they say the Tar Heels trying to get back to 500 in the league, and again they are 11-0 at home this year. Every home game except for Wake Forest a week ago, which they won by 3. They've won by 12 or more. Tout with the bucket for the Irish. Looking for win number 501 at the Dean Smith Center. 3 days past the 40th anniversary of this building's first game. Knocked away from Vessar. Here's Kaler off the steal. Fast and loose hoops right now. Imes misses a 3. Knocked to Wilson. Wilson. Spinning and winning against Tout. Caleb Wilson has a 20-point game, his 13th of the year.
But the one thing about Caleb Wilson, his ability to rebound gives him so many opportunities to initiate in transition. That's why I think he has a chance to be a superstar at the next level. His playmaking ability is understated because his scoring and his rebounding normally takes over.
Imes took it away from Trimble. Mohammed. Imes driving. Everybody on the floor is just gassed right now. We haven't reached the 8-minute timeout yet.
Yeah, I believe it was 2 to 3 North Carolina players never even made it back across half court after the turnover. Hubert Davis going to call the turnover to get some subs. Call the timeout to get some subs into the game.
A desperately needed timeout. Caleb Wilson's 13th 20-point game, one off of Tyler Hansbrough's freshman record. Not a perfect 10, but 2 points all the same for number 8.
My favorite non-basketball athlete, Andre Agassi, Roger Federer. I'm a huge tennis fan, and I love watching those guys play tennis.
Well, hopefully Hubert Davis watches tonight. The Australian Open is coming up next here on ESPN2. Big tennis fan, you mentioned earlier. Hubert told us his daughter is currently studying abroad in Australia, so double the reason to watch. Who you got in the Aussie Open this year? You think will be another Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz final? Nobody's won a major other than those two the last 2 years in men's tennis.
Sure. With all the basketball I watch, I'm not sure that I've had opportunity to keep up with, with tennis. So, yes, whatever you said.
If it's Sinner Alcaraz again, you got to tune in. Roland Garros last year, one of the great tennis finals ever. You said, I didn't notice, but you were a huge Arthur Ashe fan from Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, Arthur Ashe from Richmond, Virginia. My camp started at the Arthur Ashe Center, and a man who meant so much to so many different people. So he's my #1 tennis player of all time.
One of the great players of his generation, one of the great humanitarians. Obviously, you hear about Arthur Ashe. Courage Award at the ESPYs every year. Logan Imes with a miss. It's all Carolina here, 78-53. Tar Heels have never trailed, 25, 4 off their largest lead. Missed 3 by Evans, and a foul will keep it right here. What's impressed you most about North Carolina's game tonight?
The fact that Notre Dame, who was 6 of 12 in the first half from 3, are now 6 of 20 from 3. They have not made a 3-point field goal in the second half. Hubert Davis's message to the Tar Heels at halftime was received and executed, and that's the important part, especially when you're dealing with this is still a young team. When you consider the fact that, you know, Derek Dixon, Caleb Wilson are freshmen. Henry Bessar is a junior, but he didn't play a lot last year. Jaron Stevenson got minutes at Alabama, but he's really in a different role this year than he's been in his entire career. So this isn't a very experienced team, but the way that they're putting their execution into play here in the second half shows that they're learning.
How gorgeous is that from Wilson, who looks over here and laughs, making it look easy. He's 8 for 10.
But when you're that good, oftentimes, and I've been told, I don't know this personally, but I've been oftentimes you really have to smile and think about the things that you just did on the floor. Like, I can't believe I just did that.
22 for Wilson. There's a 3 for Notre Dame. The first 3 of the second half. Sir Muhammad, it comes after 15 minutes and change. Wilson again, bounces it for Bogovac. Wilson will pick up his 5th assist. Luka Bogovac with 7 off the bench.
But Wilson with only 6 rebounds, and I say only, for a man that averages over 10 rebounds a game, now picks up his 7th. Needs to get on the ball. I'm sure Hubert Davis isn't going to leave him in here much longer.
On a tie-up there as Bogovac went in. Possession arrow to Notre Dame.
Wilson once again catching the basketball on the block, but showing off his passing ability. Dropping it off, but Bogovac will go to the reverse for 2.
22, 7, and 5 with a block and a steal tonight. Now, you had the game against Florida State where he led UNC outright in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. He was the 3rd Tar Heel ever to do that in a single game. First since Jerry Stackhouse in 1995 against Murray State.
Yeah, NCAA tournament game where Stack did that. And when you start putting yourself in the category that Caleb Wilson has, I mean, he has a chance as he is not able to knock down the 3 ball. Phil Ford is Mr. Freshman in the ACC. Okay, but when it's all said and done, Caleb Wilson has a chance to have better numbers than any freshman in the history of the ACC. He is knocking on the door of not only breaking Tyler Hansbrough's freshman scoring record, but also Antoine Jamison's freshman rebound record. Those guys went on to play for 3 years respectively. Of course, Phil Ford played 4. Unfortunately, I believe we're only going to see Caleb for 1.
There you have it. Most rebounds by a Carolina freshman. Some of the great Tar Heels ever on that list. Young misses a 3. Now that'll be the only comparison point we have. You're right, because Caleb Wilson will be a very high pick in the NBA, but a lot of work left to do at Chapel Hill. Once again, this game is just run ragged. McClellan puts it in. Once again, we are blowing past a media timeout with some free-flowing and occasionally wild basketball. I've been a stoppage in several minutes. Bogavats off his own miss. There's the stoppage at 2:34. That'll be the last we see of Caleb Wilson tonight. Carolina's still 1-3 away from the school's single game record, so follow us for that on the other side. The back page of the Daily Tar Heel today. Students help save the Smith Center. Keep Dean's legacy on campus. Renovate, don't relocate. And there is Roy Williams. Williams, who in the middle of this ongoing debate whether or not to relocate the home of North Carolina basketball. We just got the announcement today. Lee Roberts here at North Carolina. Chancellor University told the Board of Trustees that the leadership here is moving forward with plans to develop the Carolina North Campus, which would expand the university's footprint across Chapel Hill. They want to break ground on this expansion next year. It's the site of the former Horace Williams Airport. As Zayden High's there to follow this from Isaiah Dennis. University thinks that land can add some housing to match the state's growing population, a future engineering school, and possibly the future home of the basketball program, which, as we mentioned, is celebrating its 40th anniversary here in the Dean Dome. Sir Muhammad with a bucket for Notre Dame. Roy Williams, a couple of days ago, posted online a video. He is very strongly in favor of renovating this building, keeping Carolina here. He said that he's given his opinion very strongly. He's very much in favor of staying here. Coach Smith wanted this place on campus. That was his wish. There was no question. So it'll be a fascinating year here as folks weigh whether or not to renovate this building, which some university officials say could be $80 to $100 million just for what they call essentially a basic facelift, or maybe to move the future home of the basketball program.
Well, I know I get 0 votes in this, but I'm with Roy. You renovate this place. I can tell you, I'm not sure if you've ever been to the Hall of Fame attached to this building, but it is unbelievable when you get an opportunity to see all of the history, not just with this building, but with this great program. But I can understand the need for the renovation, and I can understand the desire to relocate and build a brand new shiny building. There's a need for, of course, skyboxes in this building. There's a, and a renovation would also force you to play elsewhere for an extended period of time, at least for one season. But I would love to see the Dean Dome remain right here on campus. I think it's one of the things that makes this such a special place.
Here's a 3 for High. No good. He was attempting to become the 9th Carolina player with a 3, which would have been a program record. So in what's going to be win number 501 here at the Dean Dome, Carolina has hit 13 threes. Ryder Frost with a putback for Notre Dame as both teams have gone deep into the bench for the walkouts. You just saw the miss from Brady Stevens, son of Brad, freshman off the bench for Notre Dame.
Brad in the building today. Twofold. To make sure that he comes to check in on his former assistant coach, Michael Shrewsbury, and his son. Also to lay eyes on Caleb Wilson. Henry Vessar, two guys who, in my opinion, will be in the league next year, as Frost does not allow the fans here at Chapel Hill to have crumble cookies.
I'll say this, though. If Brad Stevens is seriously scouting Caleb Wilson, that means Brad is getting a new job somewhere.
Oh, no.
I don't think the Celtics will be in the Caleb Wilson.
Don't ever believe that. When you talk about all the trades and everything that's happening, and we're not even at trade deadline yet, you never know.
Never too early to scout.
It's never too early to scout.
Leonard Smith on the follow for North Carolina. There is Brad Stevens. The Celtics have played pretty well without Jason Tatum this year.
Ryder Frost on the Notre Dame basket. Final score of tonight's game, Carolina